Greetings, Wanderer. This is Atlas here, and welcome to the Void. Today I'm going to be reacting and breaking down a song called Divine Dragon from the Sekiro Shadows Die Twice original soundtrack. This particular track comes from one of the Patreon polls, and I have to say that this is another one of those instances in which this was quite surprising, because it won by a landslide over Rapid as Wildfires from Genshin Impact. I was under the impression that Genshin Impact was like super popular, was super huge. And I have actually received more requests on YouTube comments towards Genshin Impact than Sekiro. But a lot of people favored Sekiro over Genshin Impact in Patreon, so those are the kind of surprises that you find in Patreon for sure. So we're going to do Divine Dragon today. I have absolutely no idea about this game, about this soundtrack, anything. If I had seen gameplay from this particular video game, it has been like less than 10 minutes amounting all the footage that I've seen before. I've seen some of the footage of the gameplay of the video game, but certainly I have no idea about the plot, the story of the game whatsoever. I know absolutely nothing, so I am going, for the most part, 99% blind into this. However, of course, as always, I'm looking forward to it. So onward. Okay, so we have Divine Dragon from Sekiro Shadows Die Twice original soundtrack. Boom. I think, is that a transverse flute? I am not really sure. It's probably the instrument that's giving it the most folk touch to it. Oh, dear Lord. The percussion in that part is great. I think that's a gong you hear in the background. Yeah, that big chime in the background. It's probably a gong. The bass is playing like some pizzicato notes or something. Oh no, not really. The low end sounds amazing. Okay, there we have it. This particular track, I mean, I'm gonna stop. I always do this again. So let's break it down. Okay, so let's start by talking about one, if not the most quantifiable and identifiable characteristic that this particular track has, and it is that it is extremely open. Like, the song sounds big, super open, has a lot of space in it, and I'm going to tell you why in other parts of the video that I'm going to be talking about later. But yeah, there's a lot of openness in this track. It doesn't sound tight in certain parts because of many things. First of all, this is a string heavy and wind heavy a song. Not a lot of brass. It's very tamed, very tamed, and also the percussion is not necessarily very tamed, but at the same time you don't hear a lot of percussion that has like insane attack, But we are going to be diving more in depth about those things, which are the how the instruments contribute to the openness of the track later. But first, let's talk about a little bit about the parts that we hear in the song. The song starts very big, very open, like I said before, with a string section, playing in legato. The bass is there, to have the balance in between this mid-range section that we hear, along with the transverse flute. I believe it's a transverse flute, maybe something else, but at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure it's a wind instrument, okay? And it sounds like a flute. It's either a transverse flute or a regular flute, wherever it may be. That instrument is certainly taking the spotlight in many parts of the song. There's a couple of other things that I think that are contributing very much to this ancient sound of the song, right? Because from the gameplay that I've seen from the video game, I know this takes place maybe I don't know, 12th century Japan or something like that. You know, it's old, you know, before gunpowder was discovered or invented, you know, something like that. So we are talking about it in relatively ancient Japan. And that's probably one of the reasons why not only the flute is there, but there's also a couple of instruments that are contributing to that very premise of where historically this video game is taking place. And I'm not sure if there's rain sticks being used in this song, because I hear like this instrument in the background, but it doesn't really sound exactly like a rain stick, because a rain stick has more of a granular sound, and in here the instrument that they were using sounded more like when you pass your hand on dry grass, you know, you hear that kind of sound, which is more of a crackling quote unquote sound instead of a granular sound. So it's very hard for me to identify what instrument that is, but at the same time, that instrument gives it a lot of exotic flair to it, and therefore it contributes a lot more to where this video game is taking place, which is ancient Japan, I'm guessing. And of course, you know, the gong, we hear it in some part of the song. It's used very meticulously, you know, because that instrument, at the same time, it is very well put in the background, but you know, that's a big sort of symbol, you know, and it's very loud. But in the song, we hear it in the background, and it's used very meticulously here and there, because it's a song. Even though the song has a lot of space, that instrument, if you overdo it, can take that whole space for himself, even though it is in the background. So you want to use it, you know, here and there. It's not something, well, it depends on the song too, to be honest, but for this particular song, it was, the arrangement for the gong was very well meticulously placed here and there, you know. Now let's talk a little bit about the flute, or the transverse flute, or the wind instrument that we hear in the song. Like I said before, it's one of the instruments that gives this the song the flair, the ancient flair of Japan, but at the same time is the instrument that is playing the leitmotif, or the motif of the song, and also takes the spotlight the most out of all the instruments, because even the string section is tamed compared to this wind instrument that we hear. I talked about this before. The brass is super tamed. I mean, it's there, but it is so much in the background. You know, this song is not about the meanness so much. I don't know if this track is like it's like a boss battle or something. I have absolutely no idea. Although it's called Divine Dragon, so that sounds like a pretty big deal. But you know, there's something very interesting about this track, which is related to the openness of it, which is that this song is not meant to sound mean or you know, super intense. It's meant to communicate refinement, you know. I would say, yeah, refinement, attention to detail, something very meticulous. And if my memory serves me well, that's some of the attributes that the Japanese culture has right now, and it's probably something that has been around for thousands of years, or 1,000 years, let's say, for example. You know, this attention to detail, the craftsmanship of Japan, and so on and so forth, and that's what this song communicates to me. This very elegant refinement of attention to detail, and so on and so forth. And that is very related again to the openness of the track. Why the song sounds so open, why it has a lot of space and room. So maybe now we should talk about why that is. And the reason for that is like I said before, the instruments that are used and the ways they are used. First of all, the wind instrument. This is going to sound very cheesy, but believe me, it is like that. Wind instruments sound open because they are, well, most of them, I would say. But in this particular case, like the transverse flute or the regular flute, are very sweet in the sound. It's a very sweet sound, you know. It's candy sound almost. And you know, they are wind instruments. And wind, when you think about wind, it's one of the four elements. And wind is when you think about it, it's something that you can't grasp, like you can't latch onto it, but you can feel it, and it's everywhere. So if it's everywhere, it's very open. You think about an infinite space almost, or a very big open space when you think about wind. So when you translate that into the instrument, then of course the sound of the instrument is open, it's very rich, and it's very ear candy like, you know. It sounds very sweet. And since that instrument is taking so much spotlight in the song, well, that is going to make it more open. Along with that, we don't hear a lot of very abrasive brass. It's very tame. That makes the sound more open. Now, the brass doesn't necessarily mean that it's not open, because it can open the track a lot. But the abrasiveness of it has like an element of tightness, imbued into it, even though it can open the track, as depending on the arrangement of it. The strings, although they are not as present as the wind instrument, are open. The string section is about openness, and carries that torch of the refinement and the elegancy of a song. I mean, the violin, the cello, the violas, all these instruments have this openness to them. They sound open. The brass can sound open too, but it sounds more tight. Has a tightness to it. And of course the percussion, it depends. And this is where I'm going to get more into why it's even more the percussion in this particular song attributes more openness to the track, even more. Because even though all percussion instruments, I would say, have a lot of attack, because you play banging something most of the time, we hear a lot of cymbals and a lot of these chimey instruments, and that is those instruments are more towards the higher mids to the high end of the frequency spectrum. They and that's one of the reasons why they sound so ethereal, or so like they are above us, or well, the sense that they are very open. So We can hear that there's not, I couldn't hear timpani in here. I couldn't hear any snares, you know, which are the most aggressive and attack-like, let's say, instruments in an orchestra. There was none. I couldn't hear any. And what we hear is all these very exotic cymbals and the gong in the background, you know, to make accents and to make transitions in the song. That's what we hear in the percussion. So those kind of instruments are very open and are very also sweet sounding and chimey. So that's why the song sounds so incredibly open, and it has a lot of space and a lot of room. It also might indicate the place where this track, you know, comes in the video game. It might be like a very open space, and you know, if it is a boss battle, it's a super open space. You know, it's not something claustrophobic. Or it might be just talking. It might be just talking about or communicating or translating in the storytelling about Japan in general, you know, about this very open land, very lush, very beautiful, very crafty in its architecture, very crafty in the way the people dress, you know, attention to details, and so on and so forth. So that might be why that is, you know. So that's like the cherry on top, you know. The percussion is actually contributing to the openness of the track, and it's the one thing that is also giving the accents to the song, you know. And when you hear the accents, you hear that the song opens and has even more room. Like you hear the song gets like more open and roomier, if that's a word. Okay, so yeah, I think I'm gonna give this track I'm gonna give it a silver badge. It's almost a golden badge. I think I really dig the wind instrument and the spotlight that it has in the song. I think that one of the best decisions in terms of composition was using the cymbals, you know, not using snares or using the timpani to create accents or transitions at all, because the main theme of this track, or the main characteristic, is openness, room. It's big, it's ethereal, is out there, you know. And it's very much given by the main instrument that we hear, which is the transverse flute, the flute, or the wind instrument that we hear in the track. So yeah, thank you very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like and share it with your friend. Also, please don't forget to visit my Patreon in case you want to sway the influence towards what I'm going to be breaking down next. And also visit my Ko-fi profile in case you want to make a one-time contribution, or my Ko-fi store in case you want a personal request, or my Teespring shop in case you want to merch and all that jazz. And of course, ex nihilo nihil fit.